सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। वसुदेवेन्द्रयोगीन्द्रं नत्वा ज्ञानप्रदं गुरुं मुमुक्षूणां हितार्थाय तत्त्वबोधोऽभिधीयते। यं शुद्धं निराभासं निराकारं निरञ्जनं नित्यबोधं चिदानन्दं गुरुं ब्रह्म नमामि। पञ्चकोशाः के अन्नमयः प्राणमयः मनोमयः विज्ञानमयः आनन्दमयश्चेति।
Excellent, excellent, wonderful. Thank you. So we are on the topic of Panchakoshas. Kosha is a subtle topic because literally, if you take its meaning, then the meaning is a covering. But Atma cannot be covered, is not covered. Atma is all-pervasive. So for something to cover it, you would need something more than all-pervasive and a greater reality to cover it. Yet the word Koshaha is used. It is used because entire Atma Vidya is in the form of a self-correction, of a self-judgment. What is Atma Vidya? It is not just knowing Atma as Satyam and know about Atma as Nirvikalpaka, Nirakaraha, Sukshma, Najayate, Namriyate. It's not just identifying Atma in terms of some descriptions or qualities which it cannot be described because it's indescribable. Knowledge is not about an Atma. Knowledge, entire Vedanta Prakriya is about making a person see the self-judgment and its error. It is the error of self-judgment which brings samsara. Samsara, again, two ways in which this word is understood. One is the immediate applicable day-to-day life, you recognize it. The sense of bondage, the sense of limitation, the sense of suffering, agitation, disturbance, even in the best moments, that it's finite, the best moment is finite. We don't even enjoy those best moments because we are already in recognition of the fact that it will end, so we are already a little anxious that it should not end. So in other terms, entire expression of one's own being as an individual. The crux is my self-judgment is that I am an individual. That I am an individual is actually, from the standpoint of Shastra, the error of self-judgment. This cannot be put more clearly than I am putting, I think. It's not possible for me. This is as clear as one can place the value of Atma Vidya. I'm repeating again. What really is Atma Vidya? Understand, it is not knowledge of Atma. Because if it is knowledge of Atma, then Atma becomes an object of knowledge. And you again remain a knower of the knowledge of Atma. But Sansara doesn't end with this knowledge. So if I know all my Prasthanatraya, I am very good, I have mastered my Vedantic texts and knowledge, and I am a scholar now, but it won't end my sense of bondage, samsara, the limited sense initially. And from this limited sense, the cyclical existence that I have put myself into with the sense of karta bhokta, don't worry about these words at this point, that I'm going to be an experiencer of my own generated karmas in the sense of an identity with wrong self-judgment, incorrect self-judgment. I am going to perpetuate a cycle. This is a recognizable fact. So if Atma Vidya were only to be a knowledge of something and I was to be a knower of it, as I know my physics and chemistry and geography and nuclear science, and I know all these subjects, and Atma Vidya is also one of those subjects. If it was to be like this, then it's nishprayojanam with reference to samsara nivritti. Samsara nivritti is the only prayojanam of Brahma Vidya, Atma Vidya. So the entire knowledge is centered on, the methodology is, the prakriya is, fundamental methodology is to help the listener of this knowledge grasp the idea of correction of a self-judgment which he or she doesn't perceive to be wrong, because it's also universally seen that all of us believe ourselves to be individuals. None of us has a self-doubt on it. Yet from Shastra Drishti, it is this sense of individual which is perpetuating the cycle of samsara. There is an error in self-judgment. Self-judgment, don't take the word judgment as you do in psychology and in Vyavhara, or don't judge me, or don't pass that. It's not that kind of a judgment. The self-judgment here is you see yourself with certainty of knowledge that I am an individual. This certainty of, this is a knowledge which is certain, doubtless, unshaken through my life. Every day I wake up with in fact, a greater certainty that I am an individual. As a child, I am still a little flexible. I am still open to suggestions. My mind is still open. But as I grow older and older, I am concrete in my ideas. I am concrete in my vision of what the world is and what I am. I seem to be making conclusions about the world and myself all the time, with good experiences and not so good experiences. But somewhere the process is constantly going on. Vedanta says Atma Vidya is this self-correction. And it's not going to be easy, because the one who's already to make the correction has no doubt that there is an error. I don't have a doubt that I'm an individual. Because if I have a doubt and I go to seek knowledge, which all Upanishad students did when they sought their teacher, they came to that recognition through observation. Their intellects had become bright and sharp, with Shamadama Adi Shataka qualified minds, matured minds. They could see the fallacy in their own thinking, but they did not know what the truth is, because the truth has to be heard first. I cannot discover that I am Atman without someone pointing to me what I am not. Because the inquirer in the beginning stage is already in identification with his individuality, sense of he is an inquirer because he can experience the shortcomings of the sense of individuality. Therefore, entire Atma Vidya, all Upanishads, all Vedanta, in any era, in any time, in any yuga, wherever, whenever, punarapi jananam, if you, for God forsake, if anyone's journey remains incomplete, again next time, same thing, same knowledge, unshaken knowledge. The knowledge is about making a self-correction in your self-judgment of who you are. And the self-correction cannot be with something else which is again going to be correctable at another stage. Do you see this subtle point? Because supposing I call myself a very bad person today, it's a self-judgment. I can make a replacement and start calling myself a good person. But good person again is something I can change, and again I can call myself I'm not so good a person. So a correction has to be such that it should not again change, which means it has to be Swarup. It has to be the nature which is going to be final. That nature that is final also cannot be something that will get discovered at, well, it will be born at some other point. Because if it is so, then I cannot know it today. I'll have to do something to generate that nature. And then there'll be uncertainty of result. It may come or it may not come. So whatever that nature is must also be available to me now for recognition. Only then can I say it's an error in self-judgment. Shastra can tell me, this is what you are, and this is what you think you are, and therefore, the more you understand what you are, likely you can see the falsity of what you think you are. And therefore, the minute you see the falsity of something, it falls. It loses its value. The correction happens. This is the fundamental methodology through all Shastra Jnanam of Advaita Vedanta. I'm going to mention this with a lot of emphasis. Advaita Vedanta, which means this is the only one which is going to reveal to me my nature, which is going to be changeless. And who's the obstacle in understanding that? My own self, who believes myself to be the changing. It is me, the individual, who's going to be listening to me, the changeless. Therefore, who's the first obstacle to this listening? My own understanding of who I am. This whole methodology that he's been trying to say through Atma Kaha, and as I am repeating, these are portions picked up from the Upanishads. Having finished the 3 bodies and the 3 states, he's now come to 5 koshas. That means here is a very big clue that there are certain levels of self-judgments that I make which don't seem to be corrected by just saying I'm a gross body. No, I'm not a gross body. Does that negate my sense of identity as a body? I'm a body. Almost all of us, everybody, not almost all, everybody would have, unless until you have Gyan ka beej somewhere. The seed of knowledge is in you by some Purva Karmas and by some Purva Purusharth. Unless until there is a seed of knowledge, everyone is bound to be insecure with reference to what happens at death. Because I am so firmly attached to the idea that I am the body. I am the body. And this is so difficult to convey sometimes because once the correction is made, it's difficult to find yourself connecting in the same manner with the same value. That Judana, I gave you the example once about, I don't remember where, but somewhere here I gave 5 rupee coin. If anybody remembers, it's a 5 rupee coin that used to have, there were 2 sides and it had this kind of a binding between the 2 sides. Like a 1 rupee or a 2 rupee doesn't have that, but a 5 rupee coin has this kind of a binding in between. So you see 2 sides and they're as if glued to, the head and the tail side are as if glued together. Binding, non-separate. तुम अलग नहीं कर सकते इसको. Because the minute you separate them, it ceases to be 5 rupee. It's lost its value. That means they always come together. My sense of I as an individual And all my ideas around it is what the Shastra is trying to break it and slice it. So that I start recognizing where are these judgments made. And Panchakosh is extremely subtle. It's taken people 20, 25, 30, 50 years of listening. And you may still miss it. Even when I say this, I am still open that next time I do it, I'll get it better. So if you do not get it at first time, you don't have to be disheartened at all, because if you get disheartened, you've again proved what? That you need Vedanta, because you are self-judging it. It's a self-correction. It's a very gradual, subtle process. Every time you touch upon the topic, there is this little more penny drops, little more, and it's not, I am honestly saying, only to assure everyone, wherever who's listening to this, only to assure, if you do not get it straight away, don't worry. What you are hearing is in some point of time, in another context, the penny will drop, because what you're hearing is absolute truth and cannot be put more clearly. What is a kosha? If Atma cannot be covered, then it means my self-judgment, my self-errors. Shastras helping me with reference to where I am placing them. उनका स्थान कहाँ है? What is the identification? किसके साथ जुड़ के have I made the self-judgment, error in self-judgment? This is the best way to put it. Another term you can learn, because I'll probably be using it very often, it's a technical term and it really helps convey the idea, is the word upadhi. All the bodies, gross body, subtle body, causal body, all the koshas, whatever you seem identified with is an upadhi. It's called an upadhi. Upadhi means it's only a incidental attachment to it, because of which the unperceivable gets some expression, manifest. Exactly like Shastra's example for it is, crystal is colorless. But you keep a blue lotus, let's say pink lotus, close to it. Now the crystal appears. What is a crystal appearing?
Pink.
Pink. Right? Why? Is pink the nature of the crystal? You
No.
remove the flower again. What is the crystal now? Colorless. You bring the flower again close to it, and you see from the other side, someone else, oh, that's a pink crystal. And you can laugh inside a little bit, and you can remove it again. And the other, oh, miracle, miracle, magic, magic. My God, the crystal has turned the color again. And if you are on the naughtier side that day, you can bring a blue flower close to it. And the perceiver of it will say, oh, the pink crystals become blue crystal. How did that happen? ये कैसे हो गया? How can the crystal change its color? It was pink, I saw it pink. And by the time you brought your companion to see it also, see, pink crystal, it had changed to blue crystal. What is the crystal relation with the flower now? That crystal inherently is colorless, but in identity with the flower, association, ये कभी जुड़े नहीं है, मगर जुड़ते ही उसका रंग रूप थोड़ा सा अलग दिख रहा है. Crystal अलग दिख रहा है from its natural, what its natural state is. Exactly the same way, Atma is crystal. Sthula Sukshma Karana Sharir is your Upadhi. इससे जुड़ के आत्मा अलग दिखती है. और वो जो अलग दिखती है, in the sense that it is not alag, in the sense it is not changed at all. But yet it's appearing today to be finite. It's appearing today to us to be, most often it is appearing absolutely contradictory to what its real nature is. Its real nature is Sukha Swarup, and it most often, for almost everyone, it is Dukha Swarup. Most of the times my conclusion is I am dukhi, I am dukhi, I am dukhi, I am not so happy, I am angry, I am frustrated, I am irritated. फिर से look at this, 1 year से ज़्यादा हो गया, घर से बाहर कदम नहीं रखा मैंने. आपको पता, बोला वाह 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 वाह. Ah, it's so difficult, it's so difficult. Who's saying all this? Which one is saying all this? Very important to see this point. Who's saying all this? Oh my God, you don't know the amount of affliction and the blah, 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 blah. Oh, I have to be restricted to my room. Thank God we are all privileged people. Look at those who have to go out and work for their bread and butter in such uncertain times. But I am still feeling dukhi. In spite of the fact that I am protected in my 4 walls. But I am still dukhi for some reason or the other. What is your nature? Atma Swarup is Sukha Swarup. But what am I experiencing? Not that. That means there is a judgment error. There is a judgment error because what the Shastra tells me and what my conclusion seems to be saying, my experience also I may justify. My experience is if it's hot outside, I'm not going to say I'm enjoying the heat. It's hot, the body's feeling hot, I will say I'm feeling hot. Yes, but that heat is making me miserable, etc. This is an association with what part of you? Is it the natural state of Atma to be dukhi? No. Then what did it associate itself with that it is now seen like a pink crystal or a blue crystal?
Body.
Those are the layers, absolutely. Those are the layers, all of course Anatma, all of course Mithya. But just knowing Anatma and Mithya, I can't do the self-correction. So the Panchakosha Prakriya is absolutely fundamental. And very rare does one get this as a understanding and then abides with it. It's a gradual. I see it as a very gradual. It's a very leisurely, anand. Once you enter this area, trust. It's rest of the life's joy because you are not victimized by your own mind. You're not victimized by your own mood because you know this is Upadhi Sangha. It's a result of an Upadhi Sangha. And if I have established knowledge, if I'm establishing knowledge, and if I'm establishing Viveka Buddhi, then I know which part of the Upadhi is there. I must have clarity of that. And that is Panchakosha. Where am I placing my error of self-judgment? So he says here, there are these 5 koshas, 5 places of error, judgment, that we place it on. What are these? Just as a kosha, because it's already become joined. As a joined thing, it's a kosha. What is the kosha? Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, Anandamaya. Now he starts one at a time. What is Annamayaha Kaha? What is Annamayaha? Let me just come back once to simplify it a little more. If you see all these 5, they correspond to the 3 bodies that we've already done. Annamayaha is going to be gross body, Sthula Sharir. Anandamayaha is the causal body, Karana Sharir. And the other 3 in between, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, is going to be the Sukshma Sharir, the mental body, the subtle body. So you have gross body as Annamaya. You have subtle body as Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, and you have the causal body as Anandamaya. Sthula Sharir, Sukshma Sharir, Karana Sharir. So now what is Annamayaha Koshaha? Very simple he is going to put. Anna Rasena Eva Bhutva. Anna Rasena Eva Bhutva. Born of what? Anna Rasa. Born of the Rasa, Rasam, the essence of Annam. Born of essence of Annam, then what? Anna Rasena Eva Vriddhim Prapya. Sorry, Vriddhim. Anna Rasena Eva Vriddhim. Grows with Anna Rasa. Prapya Anna Rupa Prithivyam Yad Viliyate. Available as when it is dissolved, Viliyate, when it gets dissolved, resolved back into its rudimentary state, which is available as Prithvi, earth. Annamayaha Koshaha. That is called Annamaya Kosha, which is, he says, Sthula Shariram. Which means what? Now let me decode this a little. Sthula Shariram, the gross body. We saw in the previous definition. Can anybody just about give an indication of what we have learnt? What did we say is gross body?
It's made by the 5 elements, grossification of the 5 elements.
Excellent. Absolutely. Perfect. We've seen it's made up of the 5 elements. Right? That's the Sat Karma Janyam. Next. Right? 5 elements, we saw it from that drishti. Now, as a kosha, we are seeing the same body from the standpoint of the placement of where we are making an error. Same standpoint. As a physicist, how am I seeing the world? As a biologist, how am I seeing the world? That's the only difference. The same thing is I'm 2 different standpoints. Mahapanchabhutaihi, when it took grossification, brought about the physical world. But now what has happened is, this physical world, he says, is born as in this physical body, is born from Annam. And in Annam also, the whole physiological functioning of the person, when you eat the food and it gets digested and circulated and then the waste is thrown out. Now, the main thing about the food is the rasa. It's also called aushadhi. What Ayurveda calls it as aushadhi. Food is actually nectar. Its extract is that aushadhi which sustains life, which gives birth to, sustains, and finally body dissolves. When the annam dissolves, body dissolves, it goes back into its prithvi state. Food is born where? Prithvi. Born from prithvi, food which goes through its vikara. Mayaha, we said, is also vikara. So this body is a vikar of food. Understand simple first. Body is a vikar of food that we take. There's a question that was asked here. I don't remember exactly the words, but it was somewhere around food. Priyanka, you had asked this question on food, something to do with food. You remember yourself?
Some time ago.
Yeah, a little while ago. Initially, I think
Yeah,
you had
yeah,
asked.
I asked about what kind of food is best for the body.
Correct. What kind of food is best for the body? Okay. Now here from Vedantic Drishti, you will get some information on it. Food, body is food sheath. Let's call it an English translation. Anna kosha, Annamaya kosha. So translation will become food sheath. It's food sheath. Body is food sheath made up entirely of food that one consumes. Everything in the body, the blood, the cells, the everything is a vikar of body. It's rasa. Upanishads have also said it, and there's another Vedantic text. It said, accepted, that the essence of the food consumed in a male body becomes the generator, and in the female body becomes its own generator, which combine to give the gross body again of the child. So when these essence of the food that you consume is all sustaining the generation of the gross body in its seed form, male or female body. That is the rasa. Aushadhi, extract that is taken from the food, and that is why a lot of branches in spirituality from the Vedic vision itself, just where people wanted to, you know how groups keep forming, and then when maybe some people just got together and said we want more sadhana, and to do more sadhana we start with to discipline our food, because the kind of food you take in is entirely your body, not only your body, whatever is your body, identified with it is you, means the in identification, this food mayam, annamayam sharira, the quality of the shariram is going to be based on the food. So emphasis on sattvic food, not only sattvic food, very essential in a lot of sampradayas, that it should be bhoga. It should have had Ishvara bhoga. Only after you've offered the food do you consume it as prasad. And then I remember as children we were told, my mother made us do this experiment. The minute and to put the sanskar for sure, and it's such a huge learning that you don't know if you can think any other way now. When they just make halwa like that, and then you make halwa for Satyanarayan Puja, and in North it is say Kada Prasad. Now, she would in front of me make me stand there, and she will make it just as a sweet dish for the house. The same method she'll use. Same thing, same ingredient, same method, nothing changes. But it's made for Satyanarayan Puja. The minute it's made for Satyanarayan Puja and you have it after Puja, her question was, is the taste the same? Almost all of us know this as a fact. There is a distinct taste to Satyanarayan Puja ka prasad. There is a distinct taste of Kada Prasad when it's offered. Rasa. Where did the rasa come from? If it was just pure food, mechanically done also should have had the same, as they say in today's scientific world, or in culinary world, I would say it. If you put exactly the same measure, point of point, this much milligram, put this, half a cup, put this, and then measure this much water, and then measure this much this, and then, then, so if your measurement changes, the taste changes. This anna rasa, food sheath, is entirely made up of the aushadhi, which is actually generated from earth. Prithvi mein hai. Where is food growing? Prithvi. There's another text, even in Gita, there's a whole cycle of the food cycle, and another Upadesha Sahasri also gave us this beautiful cycle. Why the tides and the moon, that moon light is so essential to have for the food grain to grow properly. Now, once this whole thing has been, say, growing on earth, and then it gets consumed by the living being, the rasa is extracted from it, and it has again got into the generative capacity. The rasa is the one which is into the generative capacity, and this whole cycle is centered on the food. Food means centered on the body. Grown from Prithvi, sustained by Annarasa. The body is sustained by the food you take. That is why a few days also, if you don't eat, what starts happening?
Weakness.
Weakness of the body. And also the thoughts start going here, there. You will come to that point a little later. The food is primarily sustaining the vigor of the body through its rasa that it extracts. So how the food is grown right from there, the Vedic sciences were very careful at that point itself. That is why our farmers initially, even now I'm sure, their whole attitude of how they look at earth is different. Because the quality of your grain also will differ, not just based on food and, not just based on the seed and water. The rasa, I'm sure not making full sense to some of you, but does. The generated power, capacity from the earth, the food is born, sustained, and eaten by everyone. It's the aushadhi, what today you call as herbs. They are the ones that are sustaining the sheath. What about all those who are non-vegetarians? Look back into the cycle. If you are eating whatever you are eating, what did they eat? Whichever animal you took, what did that animal take? What did that animal take? And where does it all boil down to? Herbs. Whichever carnivore has eaten a herbivore. And herbivore, herb eater. The whole food cycle, Sharir is sustained in food. It grows in food. And when it is dissolved, especially first the everyday what we throw away as waste goes back to earth, again generates the cycle. There is no wastage. And finally also, when the entire body is cast, all elements go back to their own. Whatever element of Prithvi is there is also going back to Prithvi. He says, watch carefully. This is where the error is going to clear itself. This whole body is only anna supported. Supported by food, born by food, supported by food, goes back to Prithvi. Food is sustained by Prithvi. All of this. Yet, take my example yesterday. The sadhu asked me, who are you? And what did I say? I am Deepti. Deepti belong to whom? Not to my thoughts. My thoughts don't have a name. My breath doesn't have a name. My feelings don't have a name. My ideas don't have a name. My ignorance of what I don't know doesn't have a name. My self-ignorance certainly doesn't have a name. Deepti is the name of body. Annamayaha, koshaha. The self-error has happened here, and that is Annamaya, sustained by Annam. So my error is continuing as long as, of course, when you go back to Anandamaya, but in this context only. As long as my avidya is sustained, my consumption of food is sustaining my notion that I am the body. And as I said yesterday, if I have a complex that I am too short or too tall or too all that. Bald head for men, white hair for women. And then wrinkles, and then something else, and then something else. And when we were growing, even now I'm sure when we used to have our nails, and then even if, in the teenage cycle, the first or the second time you'd put your nail polish, and then when the nail chipped. Has anybody remembered the pain that we felt at that time? 4 of my fingers and 1 finger. It was so hard. I'll have to now cut away the rest of them also. Do you see the error? This is an example. Because it's easiest to convey. As a girl, probably I identify. I don't know any other example. So it's just easy to convey. It means nothing more than that. Do you see the error that got placed on the body? I am the body. This is an error. And Shastra makes me see that the body is not you. At the final ending of this prakriya, he is going to say, Madhyam Shariram. I own it as my body. Whatever you own as your body cannot be you. Just as Swarnamaya necklace, Abharam, Swarnamaya, my necklace, my bracelet, he's going to say, my house. He ends this 5 prakriyas at that point. Whatever you call as mine, are you that? Are you the bracelet? Are you the necklace? Are you the house? The minute you say mine. But with reference to the body, do you not say my body? And simultaneously you also say, I am the body. There is this cognition, sat, contradictory cognitions. You never mistake the house as yourself. When you say my house, when you say my bracelet, when you say my necklace, you never make a self-judgment ka error that this is you, house is you, bracelet is you. But when on one hand you say this is my body, I have to take care of my body. You can visualize it objectively. This is my body. It's not your body. The minute you say this is my body, automatically you also simultaneously say, I am the body. So the error of judgment has happened on the body. And the body is Annamaya Kosha. Sustained by food, grows with food, goes back into Prithvi, which again sustains food. It is as distant as houses or your necklaces. So I am the body is an error of judgment made placing it on the body. I am is Satyam. मैं दीप्ति हूँ. मैं, I have to understand what am I referring to if I'm not the body? What does मैं
Atma.
then mean?
Atma.
Correct. Absolutely. Who means what also?
Existence. There is
Existence.
Pure existence, also Atma. ये बीच में दीप्ति क्या कर रही है? डमरू बजाती हुई, शोर मचाती हुई, ठाठ ठाठ ठू ठू, जितने जितने साल एवरी डे उठ के खड़ा 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 खड़ा, make a lot of noise in the world. Come on, let's make some noise. You know, खड़ा खड़ा खड़ा, and then थक गए, सो गए. Where did the दीप्ति go?
Body है.
Sleep again. In that sleep, where did Deepti go? And then again next day morning, got up, like AK-47, shoot, 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 shoot. ये करना, वो करना, यहाँ जाना, वो. हल्ला, 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 हल्ला बोल. Make some noise. That I am there. मैं भी हूँ. As what? As a sharir. So, Annamaya Koshaha means the error of mistaking Atma in association with the Upadhi body, and out comes the blue flower and the pink flower, which is, who is going to answer this in this context? If Atma is in association with the gross body, crystal is in association with the blue flower, and now crystal looks blue. In the same way, Atma in association with the body, what is it looking like now?
My body.
Absolutely. Perfect. My body. I am the body. Actually, I am the body, which is my body. But I am the body. That I am the body is now, technical term is adhyasa, but it's too early to introduce at this point. Just understand it's a self-judgment ka error. Atma seen as I am the body. Are they not absolutely diametrically opposite to each other? I am the body is finite, is limited, seems to be now suffering with the qualities of the body, and etc. etc. And Atma is absolutely bodiless, formless, bornless, deathless, changeless. So this association has happened with the body. Yes, for a lot of other questions will emerge here, but go step by step. This portion is essential only to understand the importance of understanding where is the error placed of self-judgment. How is it? And all those questions, if you move ahead, you will confuse. Get full clarity on this topic as is, and then as it keeps unfolding, the whole jigsaw puzzle falls into place, piece by piece. So Sthula Sukshma Sharir becomes clear, Avasthatraya becomes clear, now Panchakosh is beginning to become clear, and when you start seeing these pieces together with more and more, and suddenly you realize that Vedanta is only making that correction of vision for a person, but for which you need to be convinced about it. You must see it, and therefore the prakriyas help us recognize it. Okay. A lot of material today, I think. We will conclude the class here. Continue next week with the same topic so that it gives you some time to go over it again. And so some of you can catch up your previous classes. Can you just conclude with Shanti Mantra?
सर्वेषां स्वस्तिर्भवतु सर्वेषां शान्तिर्भवतु सर्वेषां पूर्णं भवतु सर्वेषां मङ्गलं भवतु सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामया सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् ॐ स्वस्ति प्रजाभ्यः परिपालयन्तां न्यायेन मार्गेण महिषाः गोब्राह्मणेभ्यः शुभमस्तु नित्यं लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु काले वर्षतु पर्जन्यः पृथिवी सस्यशालिनी देशोऽयं क्षोभरहितः ब्राह्मणाः सन्तु निर्भयाः ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Deepti
Of
ji.
course, thank you. Thank you so much.